I know no king, but the king in the north, whose name is Stark. Yes, I am like a total House Stark girly, if we're being honest. Love it. I know no king, but the king in the north. However, it is currently summer in merry old Texas, so that also means that I am broiling alive every day. And making something the Starks would wear would probably kill me. Plus, I don't want to go and buy new materials right now because my fabric stash is pretty full, so I need to cut that down before I can accumulate a larger hoard. By the way, the other day, my roommate compared my hoarding to dragon hoarding, and I would just like to say that that is the ultimate compliment that you could possibly give a hoarder. In my ridiculous fabric stash, I have this lovely diaphanous see-through yellow fabric that just so happens to look extremely like the Dornish dresses, and so I am going to attempt those. And also, I think that making the dress is going to go pretty quick, and I do plan on hand sewing the whole thing, so that'll be a fun challenge. I haven't done a largely hand-sewn project in a while, and so I'm going to do that. But I'm really excited for the embroidery aspect of this project because all the embroidery on Game of Thrones is done by an artist named Michelle Carragher, and she also does the embroidery for many other film and TV things, and her work is so stellar, and I am looking so forward to trying to recreate some of it because I just haven't done embroidery in so long. This dress will mostly just be draped out on my mannequin and then hand sewn into place, and the embroidery will come last. And I'm going to procrastinate, have a cup of tea, and then get started on draping. The battery's almost dead in the camera, so I need to make this fast. I am very happy with how this looks. I think that I'm going to try to get it off the mannequin, keep as many pins as possible where the pleats are, and give it a quick press under the iron so that I have some crisp edges to work with while I'm tacking all of these folds into place. Also, I'll just mimic the same thing on the other side. I'll just mimic the same thing on the other side and repeat the process for that. Right, she's all pinned. I have run each side through the iron. Same on the back. And this is all just pleated and pinned into place for now. I have to sew it, but I don't want to take it off the mannequin, so I'm going to sew it while it's on the mannequin. The main challenge being don't sew it to the mannequin. And after that we can figure out the skirt, because right now it's a little more mini than I had imagined. Great for the club, but not much else. So I am going to have to put a waist seam on this dress. In the original dress, it doesn't look like there's a waist seam. It looks like it's all the same pieces, but I'm working with recycled materials. I've just thrifted these bits and bobs, so we're gonna make do with what we have and figure out how to make my skirt work after sewing all these and seeing if it actually will hold shape. Alright, we officially have the top of a dress, and today I want to completely attach the skirt. That is my goal. I have taken the remaining bits and rectangles of fabric that I have, and I have Frankensteined them all together into this super rectangle of fabric. And I've gone ahead and hemmed up all the side, not the bottom. I still have to hem the bottom, but I'm hemming up all the sides. And then I'm going to make it into a tube by sewing up the back seam most of the way. I'm gonna leave the top of the back seam open on the skirt, as well as the back seam on the top open. That way it can be closed. I'm not sure how yet, but we'll figure it out when we get there. The tricky part of this is really gonna be that I want the pleating on this to match the pleating on this. And so since it's gonna be covered by embroidery, I'm thinking I'm just going to pleat and stitch it directly onto it on the mannequin. Because all this pleating I just did by eye to fit the mannequin, and so it's not going to match up with this, and I really would like it to. So I think that's where we're gonna have to start with the skirt, is just figuring out the pleating pattern and getting it stitched into place. Then we can do some exciting embroidery stuff. She's gorgeous. I have a dress that I am ridiculously happy with, and it only took me two days and a handful of hours, because I started in the evening and then got tired of working on it, and then I started the next day. So it was a quick dress. It's completely hand sewn, snaps up the back with some just little metal snaps that I popped on there. It's got a double waistline, all hand stitched, all the pleating on the front and the middle. And then I went ahead and I took some of the extra yellow fabric that I had, and because this is so sheer, I did add a little underskirt just with the scraps I had, so that I'm not flashing anybody. There's no risk. Speaking of flashing, there's a lot of it going on right here. In the show, they have these cool little almost bikini top bralette things that they're wearing, and with the yellow dress, it is a pink top with embroidery on it. So I have some pink scraps of fabric left over that did not get used in the Chapel Roan wings. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to use this bra. I just had like a full thing of seltzer water, and I realized that was a mistake to do before filming. This bra is the closest thing I have to the shape I want, so I'm going to do my best to trace off the shape that I want from this onto my pink fabric. And then I'm not going to cut it just yet, because I'm going to be eventually embroidering everything that's a part of this project, but it's been a while since I've tried to elaborately embroider anything. So the yellow dress is obviously the most important thing that's getting embroidered. So I'm going to use the pink bralette as sort of a practice run for getting back into the groove of embroidering. And so I'm going to trace those shapes and get started on some embroidery experimentation before we can move on to the main dress.
Part of Michelle's embroidery is her phenomenal three-dimensional elements. I'm a beginner to these particular skills, so my 3D elements will consist of flowers and leaves cut from synthetic fabric and singed with a lighter to give shape and a clean edge. I've put together rows of connected petals to be made into rosettes, as well as individual petals to make buds, and of course individual leaves. These are all being attached with some rough tacking stitches. I've split my embroidery floss and am using 3 strands of floss all throughout the bralette and adding some stems and vines using a backstitch. For the rosettes, I've put down 2 parallel stems that will be important later. After the initial stems are stitched, I'm going in with a darker green and adding some fun shapes and texture. For the parallel stems, I'm weaving back and forth between the two, and for the single stems, I'm using a whipped backstitch, as well as a back and forth loose squiggle of a stitch that I was entirely making up as I went along. At this point, the leaves were looking a little plain, so I decided to add some dimension to them by using a satin stitch in a dark green embroidery floss, and then blending in a second lighter green throughout, closer to the stems. Because I wanted some more texture throughout, and I was having so much fun embroidering, I just didn't want to stop, I went ahead and Googled how to do some French knots and little flowers as well.
So this is the before, just plain roses and then all the green work, but then this is the after. And I think it looks super cool. We've got some more dynamic colors happening in the green work, and then we've also got all these lovely French knots creating polka dots and some tiny little flowers. And so I definitely think that the extra work for these little details is so worth it. So I'm going to make these match now. And then I will be taking a small break from the embroidery to put this together and make it into a functional top. And then we can begin the embroidery on the dress. Okay, I have successfully finished embroidering the bralette, and so I have my embroidered panels here. And then using the tracings off of that bra, I had them cut down into this shape. So it has a bigger dart at the top, smaller dart at the bottom. This is the scrap material that I'm using for lining, so it's just the exact same as the front piece except without the embroidery. So I'm gonna use that to do a lining for these, and then once it's stitched together it has some curve to it, and it is oh so pretty. Just real proud of this one, guys. I think this is a slam dunk home run. Really going well. Now what needs to be done is I need to put the linings and the front embroidered pieces together, and once that is done I need to attach shoulder straps. I'm just gonna do a halter tie for them, I think, and then a strap around the under boob as well, rib cage. That's what that's called. Is that the ice cream truck? I live right by a park, and so I see the ice cream truck go by all the time, but he charges like $5 for an ice cream sandwich.
Just 2 ice creams with 2 chewing gums in it.
Yeah.
For bloody £9.
Single time that truck passes, I am so sorely tempted to go buy ice cream. This is so cool. The embroidery, I should do this more often. I don't know why I don't. This is such a cool thing to add to a project. And so, yay. It fits nicely, but I figured it would since I took the pattern just off one of my bras. Yeah, and then it's just attached in the front here, and then it's got ribbons going down to the back, and then to a halter top as well. And I did go ahead and I just put it under the iron for a little bit so the flowers are a little smooshed down, just so they don't poke out and make the dress look weird. But now that I've had my practice run on all this embroidery, we can try to get started on the dress. My goal is to try and get all the dress embroidery done in about 2 or 3 days, because I made the dress in 2 days. This took 2 days. So if I can finish this in 2 or 3 days, I'll have finished this project in 1 week, and I may actually have time to go film at a really cool location for the reveal. So, using what we've learned, we can get started on the dress embroidery. The good news, I have finally stopped procrastinating working on this dress. And by procrastinating, I mean actually doing things I'm supposed to. I am in the midst of moving from one house to another, and so I am kind of in a half put together room right now, and this is the only constant that I'm keeping during the move. However, I've been called into work tomorrow, and I want to start working on this. So I'm going to prep all this so that I can get started on my embroidery while I'm in the office.
I'm using a running stitch in brown to map out how I want the embroidery to branch out from the center of the dress. Then, with what time I had left at work, I added some green vines and started pinning on the leaves. Like the previous leaves, I am going in with a satin stitch in a light and dark green to add dimension and texture to all these lovely little leaves. Once all my leaves are complete, I can then tack on all my flowers and flower buds. These are just placed as I saw fit around the dress, with not in a lot of rhyme or reason besides vibes. The final step is to add in those dark green details on the stems, and once those are complete, and of course after a quick car picnic, it's time for the reveal.
This project was such a huge success, and I really have no notes, so I'll be quick about this outro. If you liked this video and you want to see more, please be sure to check out my channel and consider subscribing for more shenanigans. And if you would like to visit my TikTok or Instagram, those are both under Art by LGO. You can visit my website as well, artbylgo.com, if you would like to see a gallery of my work as well as some art pieces that go on sale. And if you'd like to help support the channel, because after all, I'm a poor college student, you can find me on Venmo at artbylgo, or you can support me by joining my Patreon at artbylgo, as well as visiting my Amazon wish list, in which I have listed some supplies that will be a part of upcoming projects. All these things that I just mentioned can be found in my Linktree. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, night, whenever you're watching this, and bye!
Yeah, zooming.
All this nonsense I just messaged. All this nonsense I just messaged. All this nonsense that I just. Oh my god.
We're about to go film and we stopped at Whataburger first. But there's no drive-thru and I was too nervous to go in this dress. So my roommate is going to get it for me. My hero! Hello!
You hold this.
Yes. He's just telling the people about how you're saving me.
About to spit in the water.